say what a pleasure it is to be on a panel with a Twitter character and the person who basically started internet research data gathering before Lee Rainie took the reins at Pew. There really wasn't good information about what people were doing online, and it's still the best source. I call it the anti-ignorance pill for internet research scholars. So great that we have that. And it's partly because of the Pew we know that people are spending more time playing games than they are doing email as of this year. Part of that is due to email migrating onto other platforms like, say, Facebook. But part of it is due to the really, really widespread and mainstreaming adoption of games, partly as well on social networks. So I'm going to be talking about 5 kinds of online racism, a couple of which are unique to video games, but some of which are not and predate them. So as our introducer said, this TED is somewhat a celebration of Marshall McLuhan's 100th birthday if he'd still been alive. So one of Marshall McLuhan's key phrases is the idea of the global village, that what he called at that time electric communication, we would now call it electronic communication, and by that he meant television, but also things to come, would bring people together into a global village. And the idea of the global village has been very powerful. So both intimacy, yet kind of broad reach, cosmopolitanism, yet at the same time an enhanced sense of identity, intimacy, but also global kinds of connections with people. It sounds wonderful. That's what he really thought we would have. On the other hand, we should remember it was the villagers that chased Frankenstein out of the village. Villages have often been xenophobic places where there is a narrow range of identities that are tolerated. What the internet has sometimes done is to just let this happen on a much bigger scale, rather than bringing people into an all-accepting, sympathetic, kind of ideal or utopian notion of community. So this cartoon is very old. It appeared in the New York Times, the New Yorker, before most people were using the internet, and it really illustrated the hopes of the internet, that there would be radical democracy, everybody, everything could communicate in perfect equality with each other, which was Tim Berners-Lee's idea when he designed the World Wide Web. He wanted all information to be democratic and have, quote, perfect equality with each other. Anything could link to anything. However, we know that's not really what happens on the internet, right? There aren't very many dogs on the internet. So I'm going to be talking about the 5 types of online racism I identify as being in circulation now. The first of these is visual profiling of people using internet technologies. The second of these is voice profiling, especially in video games, when people started to use headsets quite a lot more and could talk to each other while playing games like Halo. All of a sudden you had another way for people to know more about others and to behave accordingly. When people began to use avatars or artificial bodies they would make in things like the Wii or in World of Warcraft, you began to see new kinds of discrimination between players in online spaces like games. Also, what I'm calling identity tourism. I noticed this in 1995 when exploring Muds and Moos, which were text-only video games, that people would take on other races and genders in their own and would sometimes enact racial stereotypes. So I'll talk more about that in a minute. In other words, you would enact the stereotype, right? Not just call something somebody, but actually behave in that way. And the last is very, very new. This is based somewhat on Constance Steinkuhler's work at University of Wisconsin at Madison, where she was doing work in a video game called Lineage. And she found that certain classes of character, which were often played by people trying to make money in the game, became associated with those races of people and started to get discriminated against a lot in the game. So first I'm going to talk about online retail racism, racism based on what people can see. I just call this POR, plain old racism. This is based on a study that was done in 2010 by 2 Stanford researchers. It was a year-long study where they got a lot of iPods and started to sell them on Craigslist. And they took several different photographs of hands and tried to track what kind of reactions they were getting to their ads based on what kinds of hands were in the pictures. So this is a picture of an African-American person holding the product. Here's a white hand. They also had a tattooed hand. So they ran this experiment for over a year to see what would happen. As you might imagine, the results were very different. So this is somewhat like Stephen Levitt's research in Freakonomics. He found that when people applied for jobs, if they had African-sounding names or African-American-sounding names, but identical qualifications, they would get less responses than people who had less African American sounding names. So what happened is that in the Northeast, black sellers had a really hard time selling the exact same product as white sellers did, or white hands rather. In the Midwest, that was true. In the West, not so much. African American sellers had a slightly better chance of selling their products, which is very interesting. Another result of the study was that people who used the black hand, right, or who responded to the black hand ad were way more likely to want to barter about the price or ask for alternative arrangements. So many of them offered to barter puppies, snakes, auto detailing, guns, and drugs to get this iPod. So they were not only trying to change the price, they were trying to trade it for things like that, which tells you a lot about racial stereotyping, right? It's very interesting that that happened. So this is just plain old racism, right? There's nothing really special about it, nothing especially digital. It happens all the time. It's just that this study really nailed, I think, the visual aspect of that, because that was the only information people had. There was a description of the product, photographs of hands. By the way, do you think the tattooed hand did better or worse than the black or the white hand? I'm just curious if anybody has an opinion. Worse, yeah, the tattooed hand was about as bad as the black hand, and worse in the West. So obviously tattooed people have problems as well. And if you want to sell an iPod, get somebody with this kind of hand to hold it in the picture. Pardon? Yes. Yes, the tattooed hand, not a trustworthy hand if you're buying a used iPod. So that's plain old racism. Let's talk a little bit about something that happened when games went online, right? When console games, which are played predominantly by young men, became network games and became networked on the internet. People like Rampage Jackson, he is a mixed martial art fighter. You might know him. He's considered the baddest man on the planet. Maybe not today, but like 5-6 years ago. He was a really avid video game player, and he loved Halo, like so many people do. I don't play Halo, but it's a fabulous game, right? So he was playing it with friends in his apartment and playing it by himself, and then Halo 2 comes out. Halo 2 enables people to use the headset to talk to each other, to strategize, to trash talk, or whatever they want to do. So he gets the headset, and he finds something happens. It's not so great. So we can roll the video now.
My first time playing Halo, I was playing, and I said something, and I said, "It's a nigger in here! Kill the nigger! The nigger!" And you know, I didn't know, but the only people that could hear me is the people on my team. It was my own team killing me. No they were like, yeah, they said, "You have been betrayed." And I come back alive, and then, "You have been betrayed." They kept killing me, my own team, because I was a nigger. I talk a little trash when I get racial, because I don't matter, black, white, Puerto Rican, whatever. I don't like racist people. I'm prejudiced against racist people. They should invent something. When somebody say something bad, like they foul racist or something, you should get their address and just say it back to them. Man, dog, I know you at 45 Al Street. I know exactly where your trailer park at, man. Why you tripping? Trust me, dog. Trust me on this. If we was playing video games like the old school way, right next to each other, you wouldn't say nothing to me at all. You're a coward. You know, it's an internet tough guy. I just started laughing because they don't even know who they talking to. The baddest man on the planet. They don't want to talk bad.
Here's Quentin Jackson being bullied by anonymous 15-year-olds and basically driven off of Halo because he can't handle what's happening to him, right? He's being abused, basically, and yet look at this guy, right? So this is the promise and the danger of the internet. It does allow people to create new bodies in some ways. It also disadvantages people in many ways who might otherwise have more recourse to being abused. So I want to make a distinction between passive address racism and active address racism. Passive address active racism is something like going to the MLK website and finding that the KKK actually runs that website, which is true, right? Some of the top hits for Martin Luther King actually are websites that are run by white supremacist groups who have filled it with misinformation. Or going to Holocaust denier websites. Those are passive address. They're racist, but they're not especially talking to you. Whereas hearing somebody, as Quentin Jackson did, shout the N-word at him in his ear when he's playing a game is obviously a more intense and more personal form of racism, even though they can't see him, right? And so viewing the internet as a place to hide our race and to be judged on our merits, so to speak, what Jackson found is that in the age of network voice communication, that wasn't really possible. So he stopped playing Halo. Right? So let me go on to the next kind of racism, which is racism against avatars. If indeed we've entered a period where people are playing games all the time, which they are, I play games every day, not always these kinds of games, but some kind of game, and that's pretty normal, what we look like online has a lot to do with how people are going to interact with us. So here's a woman who plays Second Life, which is some people consider not a game, but actually a world. And this is what she looked like in 2006. This is her avatar. Her name is Jenny Zarian. She was approached by a designer in Second Life named, well, I'll see what I forgot his name, but he'll be in there in a minute, Chip Midnight, I think. And Chip Midnight is a graphic designer, and what he does is make new skins, or rather new bodies, faces, clothes, for people's Sims, which then they buy. So like any good publicist or promoter, he wants the cool people to wear his stuff in public. Jenny Zarian is a popular person. She's well known in the community. People like her. She has a big social network. So he said, hey, will you do me a solid and wear this skin for a while and just tell people that I made it, and that way it will get seen. You'll go out. People will get to know who I am and what I'm doing. And she said, sure, I'll do that for you. That's fine. Right. So here's the skin that she wore after Chip Midnight made this request. And then she decided to write about what happened to her after she did this. So what she found is that, as she says, I discovered who my real friends were. There were people who had never approached her before who started coming up to her. Some of them were African American, saying, wow, this is the first skin I've seen that I would actually use. There really aren't that many black bodies in Second Life that are attractive or look very real. Other people came up to her in white bodies and said, I'm an African American woman, and I don't really dare to look like this in Second Life. I can't handle it. Some people, as I said, again, were more friendly. A lot of people were a lot less friendly. Many of her friends who she'd known for years said, when are you going to go back to being you? When are you going to take on your real body? Knowing very well that neither of these are a real body, I think it's fair to say. Other people just basically called her a nigger in Second Life. And she found this consistently when she took on the skin. So when she stopped wearing the skin, that stopped. Right? So that is very much a form of avatar-based racism. She was talking in the same voice she always uses, but visually she was cueing race for people in ways that made them very, very uncomfortable. So that's a kind of finding which we should be cautious about, I think. So let's talk a little bit about online discrimination in multiplayer console games. That's things like Halo. Definitely you can see that, but also the Wii. I'm going to show a little clip from Halo. This is something that a user made. It was a guy who decided he was going to go into the Halo player match lobby and do nothing different except change his name. So he decided to change his name to Gay Boy, and we'll see what happens.
You want to be gay, Jesus hates you. Hey, Gay Boy, are you a faggot or what?
Gay Boy, I hope you die first now.
Hey, Gay Boy, I remember you from a long time ago.
You do?
Me and my friend kept killing you and teabagging you.
Faggot, you're gay, you're gay, you homo, you're fag.
Dude, we get a Gay Boy on our team!
Yeah,
that's for you in a pink.
Fucking faggot.
Hey, Gay Boy, what's the biggest cock you ever took?
Get that cock out of your mouth, Gay Boy, before you speak on whatever.
Have your dad give you bloody butt again, faggot. Yeah, fuck you, Gay Boy, you piece of shit. Gay Boy, quit sucking off dudes and play. Come on.
Gay Boy.
Gay Boy.
Gay Boy.
Fucking Gay Boy.
Hey, what's up, Gay Boy? We should hook up.
I'm friendly uncle.
Gay Boy and friendly uncle coming at you. 1-2 punch.
I hope gay marriage never gets passed. Have fun being single. Well, and make it say single boy.
Shut the fuck up. You're still a faggot.
Well, it doesn't matter, dude, because...
I'm sorry, you're not a faggot. You give a bad name to gays. You're a fucking nuke. You're a nigget.
Don't worry, guys. Gay boy will have your back door, that is.
And your dentist hates you because your breath smells like blood.
Hey, Gay Boy.
He's not on it?
Gay
Boy, what's up,
Gay Boy?
Hey, boy, whip it out. Yeah, you're a faggot. You like it in the ass ever, not by a black guy. All right, you got the bomb, dude. I'll watch your back, dude. I'll watch your back. I'll watch that ass. Hey, yeah. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Hey, gay boy, take a nice fat cock and Lily. Who the fuck makes her think pink, faggot?
Gay boy, we're coming for gay boy.
Do you spit or swallow? Wow, you guys got to beat by a gay guy. Wow.
Yeah, but we don't get fucked in the ass, though.
I
There you
know,
go.
I know. Gay boy, I love you.
Hey, gay boy, I love you.
You should be called faggot XXX. Hey, don't be dissing my friend. I will take you any day, baghead. You're a faggot.
Yes.
I want to shoot you right now.
You just did.
Maybe hang you.
Oh, that's not nice.
I want to hang you.
That's not nice.
Because you're gay. It's not nice, but it's true. I hate gay people.
You don't have any gay friends?
Yeah. You. Send me a friend request. Seriously. Who is it? Who's leaving?
Gay boys.
No! You're the life of the party.
Okay, so there's more in that vein, right? It's probably not that fun to listen to. But certainly what it shows is that doing something like taking a name that signifies an identity that's not normative, right? Not straight, not white, not male, will produce these effects. And certainly this individual isn't doing anything in particular to get this except for having this name. So a lot of the video responses said, well, it's his fault for choosing the name, right? Xbox lets you choose any name you like. It's his fault for doing that. So I think the burden then of hiding identity or managing identity falls on the individual, which is probably not the way it ought to be.
Lisa, you don't find that surprising, do you?
No, absolutely not. No, what I find surprising is that it's not discussed very much, because here is a space, a commercial space. Xbox, Microsoft is, this is space owned by them, and yet it's pretty unregulated. So if children talk like this at school, they're probably going to have a problem. Some teacher, somebody's going to tell them not to do that. However, Xbox, Microsoft doesn't work that way. And so when I talk about why we should care about this, in 1995, I think, to 98, AOL had live moderation in most of their chat rooms. Some of you who are old net citizens remember this, right? There was a massive lawsuit, in fact, against AOL by those volunteers because they spent so many hours making sure that the conversation was civil and that it was communitarian. That was the global village, you could say, where there was user-generated policing and regulation, or at least oversight of what people said. If somebody talked like this, an AOL moderator would report them, and they would get booted off the server for at least a day and maybe lose their access. We don't have anything like that anymore, right? Whether it's prohibitive to do, I think we got to consider the questions about live moderation, whether that's something we need to do to have anything like a global village. We had it once. I think that it could happen again. In fact, some women have started up their own kind of co-op moderation service for children's virtual worlds because they saw their children going into these worlds and being called nigger and fag. And so they decided, us moms are going to go in there and just hang out. We're not going to say anything. We're just going to sit here, and if we hear something like that, we're going to report it. So in some ways, that's coming back to the early 90s or the mid-90s anyway. So let's talk a little bit about identity tourism. When people take on an identity, such as this identity here, and start to act out some of the stereotypes, like this kind of stereotype here. In 1995, I was looking at people who would go to online chat rooms and pretend to be Asian women and try to get sex from people. Those people were almost never Asian women, as you might guess. So this kind of t-shirt, I think, brings out what people sometimes are doing in these spaces when they can have new bodies, they take on bodies and then act out the stereotypes, right? They're not just talking to people with stereotypes, they're actually acting out stereotypes. So that kind of passing across genders, across races, leads to things like what they call in World of Warcraft a girl in all caps, guy in real life. Many of the women you see, female avatars in World of Warcraft, are actually guys. Probably not that surprising. The problem with this is that taking on an identity which is not yours sometimes gives you a feeling of false understanding or empathy about what that's like. So you might remember the movie Black Like Me, where someone decides that they're going to try this experiment and they find it's terrible, just like Jenny Therian. However, if it doesn't happen, it can have an undesired effect, which is to make people feel like, oh, it's not that bad. Nothing happened to me. No one called me the N-word. People should stop whining so much. Also, this can work like minstrelsy, by letting people take on identities and act out stereotypes, just like minstrel did by blacking their face and taking on these exaggerated accents. What it did was to perpetuate racism, actually, in a very powerful way. And it can extend those stereotypes and make them live even longer. The things we'd hope to leave behind by going on the internet are actually coming with us. So the thing I want to talk about last is how virtual worlds like Diablo 2, Lineage, World of Warcraft, which have a very, very global audience, are actually seeing some avatars become despised minorities. Constance Steinkuhler found that dwarves, female dwarves, like these little characters here, could play the game really well by themselves. They were the only character class that wasn't dependent upon cooperation to play. And so a lot of Chinese people were logging on and playing these characters and selling the gold for real money because they really needed money. So you can sell the objects you buy in game for real money. If you really need money really, really bad, that's what you will do. It doesn't pay a lot, but it pays enough to survive. That happened so much that people began killing these little guys on sight. She found whenever anybody played a female dwarf, it would get killed immediately because it was associated with a particular group of people saw as ruining the game because they were playing it for money, not necessarily just for fun. Basically, she said this became a despised and unplayable player class, right? So even people who were not Chinese farmers or Chinese players for money who wanted to play these little guys found out it was impossible to do so. Nobody would talk to them. Nobody would group with them. They just were a kind of despised and stigmatized group of little characters so that no one could use them anymore, regardless of what race or what gender or what nationality you were. So that's all I had. Thank you very much.